My girlfriend screamed. You're a cheater! At our anniversary party, so I played her affair partner's confession. Hi, I'm Benjamin. I'm 33. And the night my girlfriend screamed at our anniversary party, I know you're cheating, everyone knows, was the night I calmly played a recording of her affair partner confessing their 8-month relationship. You could have heard a pin drop. What nobody knew yet, not her, not him, not the room full of shocked friends and family, was that I saw it coming. I'd known for weeks. And I wasn't about to let her frame me. We'd been together 7 years, lived together 5. No marriage, but we shared everything. Bills. Friends. A golden retriever named Jasper. She worked in marketing, smart, charming, always on. I was in software development, quiet, numbers guy, the one people forgot in group photos. We did well together. $180,000 combined income. And I owned the house, inherited it from my grandfather. No mortgage. No secrets. At least I thought. About 3 months ago, she changed. Not in a soap opera way. In a subtle, calculated way. She didn't pull away. She layered over. Phone face down, late nights. At work. And a sudden obsession with weekend, team-building events. One guy, Colin, kept popping up. I'd maybe heard his name twice in years. Now he was in every story. Colin this. Colin that. Colin's so funny. Colin thinks we should try that new ramen spot. Colin saved the presentation. At first I joked. Should I be jealous? She snapped. God, Benjamin. He's a colleague. You're being insecure. I backed off. Then she moved into the guest room. You snore too much and I need sleep for my big pitch. I don't snore. But okay. A week later, I found her iPad in the office. Not locked. Not snooping, just grabbing a charging cable when a message popped up. From him. Miss you already? Tonight was amazing. My stomach dropped. I clicked. It was all there. Months of messages. Explicit photos. Inside jokes. Conversations about me, mocking me, planning how she'd leave. One thread said, "When are you finally leaving him?" Her response, "Soon. Just need to make sure I get what I deserve." What? She wasn't in a rough patch. She was setting up a clean exit. One that made me look like the bad guy. I didn't throw the iPad. I didn't scream. I backed up every message to a hidden cloud drive. Then I spent the next week doing what software devs do best, building systems. I opened a new bank account. Split our joint funds. Perfectly legal. Moved my important documents to a fireproof box. Called my brother, he's a lawyer, and told him everything. He got me a meeting with a divorce attorney. She laid it out flat. She's engineering a scenario. Document everything. Don't confront her. Let her make the first move. Then she did. Our anniversary's coming up. We should throw a party. Big one. Like 40 people. This from the woman who'd forgotten our last 2 anniversaries. Who hadn't said, "I love you," in 2 months. Red flags? No. That was a whole parade. But I said, "Sure. Let's do it." Because now I knew exactly how this ended. Your move, chess master. My turn's coming. The plan was obvious now. She'd spent the last month subtly rewriting the story of our relationship to anyone who'd listen, how distant I'd become, how I barely spoke to her, how I didn't touch her anymore. Subtle, strategic character assassination. All groundwork for the finale. She'd paint me as the cheating, emotionally detached jerk, spring the drama at the party, and boom, instant sympathy, a favorable breakup, probably even some soft landing cash. But I wasn't going to let her control the ending. The day after I found the messages, I started documenting everything. Her passive-aggressive Facebook posts? Screenshotted. Her snide comments in front of friends? Noted. Her financial contributions to the house? Minimal. I'd been paying the mortgage, insurance, repairs because technically, the place was mine. Inherited property. Not shared. But the real checkmate move? Colin. I got his number from her phone while she was in the shower one morning. Waited until a Tuesday, one of their usual meet-up days, and called. He picked up, cheerful. "Hey, it's Colin." "Hi. It's Benjamin." Her boyfriend. Silence. Like phone dropped in a lake, silence. "I'm not here to threaten you," I said, calm as I could manage. "I just want to know what I'm walking into. She's planning something. I know it. Man to man. he cracked. That guilt-drenched, deer-in-headlights, I think I just pooped my pants type of cracked. We met at a cafe. I wore a hoodie and recorded the entire conversation. One-party consent state. All legal. He spilled everything. They met at a marketing conference. Flirted. Hooked up. It turned into regular Tuesday and Saturday sessions. She told him I was cold, that I controlled her, made her feel like she had to sneak around. He admitted he was starting to doubt her, said she was different lately. Manipulative. Then he dropped the bomb. She planned to confront me publicly at the party, accused me of cheating. Said she'd make sure people believed her. Said if I got defensive or emotional, it'd only prove her point. She wanted an audience to validate her version of the story. I thanked him, paid for his coffee, and left. That night, I edited the recording. Pulled only what I needed. The affair timeline. The intent. The setup. Loaded it into my phone. Synced it to the Bluetooth speaker in the living room. Tested it once. Clear as a bell. Let's see her cry her way out of this one. The day of the party arrived. She woke up acting like it was a wedding. Hair done, nails fresh, dress dry cleaned. Giddy. Flirty. Like we hadn't spent the last month sleeping in different rooms. Guests started arriving by 6. My parents, her parents, friends from both sides, her coworkers Colin included. She played the perfect host, even kissed my cheek like we were still in love. I played my role too. Smiled, nodded, thanked people for coming. Then came the glass tap. Everyone, she said, smiling with glassy eyes. Thank you for being here tonight. 7 years. That's a big deal. And I want to be honest. Here it comes. I can't do this anymore, she said, voice trembling like she was on a Netflix special. Benjamin has been cheating. I didn't want to believe it, but it's true. And I deserve better. Gasps. Her mom burst into tears. Her sister shot me a glare like I'd kicked a puppy. She turned to me, eyes bright with fake betrayal. Say something. Admit it. I looked around the room. Took a deep breath. And pulled out my phone. Since we're airing things out. Connected to the speaker. Press play. Colin's voice echoed through the house. It started 8 months ago. We met at the Denver conference. It wasn't supposed to be serious. Every eye in the room swiveled. Her smile evaporated. Her mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. I paused the recording. Looked at her calmly. Would you like me to continue? She went pale. And just like that, checkmate. She tried to recover, stammered something about deep fakes and privacy violations, but the room had already turned. Colin looked like he just swallowed a brick. Her mother, mid-sob, blinked in disbelief. Her dad turned toward her, eyes narrowing like he just met her for the first time. I glanced around, let the silence hang a few seconds longer, then dropped the next hammer. I've been faithful this entire relationship. But I did record your affair partner. You know, the one you were planning this little show with? I smiled slightly. One-party consent state. Legal. And necessary. Her jaw clenched. You set me up. No. You set me up. I just didn't fall for it. The Bluetooth speaker still softly hummed from where the recording had stopped. She lunged to turn it off, fumbling with buttons like that would erase the truth now hanging in the air. I calmly walked over and powered it down. I didn't want it to go down like this. I said to the guests, keeping my voice even. But since she decided to bring this to an audience, I brought a few receipts. Her sister, who'd been hugging her just minutes before, slowly stepped back. Colin looked ready to bolt. My girlfriend X really was shaking now. Not with rage. With something closer to realization. You can't kick me out of this house. She hissed low enough only I could hear. I leaned in. Actually, I can. I inherited it. Deeds in my name. Never added you. Go ahead, check the records. I turned to the room. We've been together for years. But for the last 8 months, she's been cheating. Documented. With the guy currently standing behind the punch bowl. Colin flinched. The bowl sloshed. I didn't want to humiliate anyone. I wanted to leave with dignity. But you came here to destroy my character in front of our friends and family. So, I decided to defend myself with facts. My dad was nodding. My mom's hand was on her mouth, eyes wide. Her father stood up, quietly walked out the front door. Not a word. Just gone. She turned to her mother. You have to believe me. Her mom didn't move. I walked to the kitchen, poured myself a drink, took a sip. The most surreal moment of my life, and I was suddenly calm. She was spiraling. You can't just embarrass me in front of everyone. I held up my glass. You're right. You did a solid job of that yourself. And then I gave the final blow. I filed for separation this morning. You'll be served Monday. This house is mine. And you'll need to find somewhere else to stay. Gasps again. One of her work friends whispered. Wait, she was cheating? Another added. She told me you were controlling. I raised my hand gently. If anyone wants to see the full context, I have the messages, the photos, the timeline. But I suggest we just enjoy the rest of the night, what's left of it. And I walked out of my own anniversary party. I left her standing in the middle of the living room, surrounded by the people she'd gathered to witness my downfall, only now they were looking at her like she'd lit her own hair on fire. Outside, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't look back. I just got in my car and drove to my brother's house. The game was over. Now it was time for cleanup. I crashed at my brother Daniel's place that night. Didn't say much, just dropped onto his couch, kicked off my shoes, and let Jasper, my golden retriever, curl up at my feet like a four-legged therapy pillow. Daniel didn't press. Just handed me a beer and turned on a rerun of Top Gear like we were teenagers again, hiding from real life. The next morning, I woke up to 47 missed messages. 6 from her. All variations of, "You ambushed me, you humiliated me," and, "You'll regret this." 12 from her mom. Started with concern, quickly moved into threats. "How dare you weaponize that recording? She made a mistake, this was private. You're destroying her future." I blocked them both. The rest were from friends. Most were stunned but supportive. A few asked if it was real. "That wasn't AI, right?" One just said, "Holy shit." I replied to that one with a thumbs up. By noon, Daniel had helped me call a locksmith. We drove straight to my house and replaced every lock, reprogrammed the garage keypad, and updated the alarm system. While we were working, a neighbor waved at me from across the street. "She left in tears last night," he said. "Hope you're doing okay." I just nodded. 3 hours later, she showed up. I was on the porch with Daniel when her car came screeching to a stop. She didn't knock, just tried the door. Locked. She banged once. Twice. Then started shouting. "You can't lock me out. I live here." I stood up slowly. "No, you lived here. That ended the moment you tried to assassinate my character in front of 40 people." She screamed. "You can't do this. I inherited the house, remember? Your name's not on the deed. You checked out emotionally and legally months ago. My lawyer will confirm." She pulled out her phone. "I'll call the police. You're stealing my stuff. Your stuff will be packed and waiting this weekend. With a third party present. You can pick it up or I can ship it." She just stood there, vibrating with rage. "This isn't over." Daniel, from behind me, muttered, "For you, maybe." She finally stomped back to her car and peeled off down the street. The whole thing lasted 5 minutes, but it felt like defusing a bomb. That afternoon, I met with my lawyer. We went through the separation paperwork, made sure all my I's were dotted and T's crossed. I'd moved half the savings to a new account weeks ago, and she'd barely contributed financially in years. I had receipts literally. Her lawyer called mine later that week. Apparently, she told him a very different version of events. He opened with, "My client is emotionally distressed and was publicly shamed." My lawyer cut in. "Your client staged a false infidelity claim in front of 40 witnesses and was caught cheating via her own affair partner's confession. We'll proceed with the divorce. She has no claim to the house, and her misconduct will impact any request for spousal support." There was a long silence. Then, "We'll be in touch." Meanwhile, she tried a new tactic, pity. I got a voicemail from a new number. Her voice soft, like someone playing a fragile porcelain victim in a play. I ended it with him, "Ben. I messed up, okay? But we can fix this. Don't throw away everything we built." I didn't respond. Because the truth is we didn't build anything. I built a life and made room for her in it. She just used that space to install a second door. And when I changed the locks? She finally realized she wasn't getting back in. 2 days later, she broke into the house. I'd been at work, trying to get back into some semblance of normal, when my Ring camera pinged. Motion detected, back window, side of the house, I checked the feed and there she was, crawling through the bathroom window like a raccoon in designer yoga pants. I sped home. She was sitting on the couch with a blanket wrapped around her like she was recovering from the flu. Jasper barked once and then just laid down, clearly fed up with all the drama. "You broke into my house," I said, still standing in the doorway. She didn't even flinch. "We need to talk." "No, you need to leave." That was trespassing. "You don't live here anymore." Her eyes welled up immediately. "Benjamin, please. I know I screwed up." I was confused. I thought Colin was. I don't know what I thought. But I ended it. That means something, doesn't it? I just stared. "You ended it because you got caught. You tried to ruin my reputation in front of everyone I care about. There is no fixing that." She stood up, still clutching the blanket. "So that's it? 7 years down the drain? Just like that?" "No. It was gone the moment you decided my love was worth trading in for leverage." She stepped closer, tried to touch my arm. I stepped back. Her face twisted. "I gave you everything. My best years. My loyalty." I couldn't help myself, I laughed. "Your loyalty? Are we rewriting the last 8 months now?" She dropped the blanket. "Fine. If that's how you want to play it, I'm taking you to court. I'm getting half. Half the house. Half your retirement. Alimony. Everything." I opened a drawer, pulled out a folder. "Here's the deed. Inherited property. Premarital asset. You have no claim. As for retirement, my lawyer has the timeline of your affair. Adultery counts here. You walked away from the table before you even sat down." She stood there, shaking, as if fury alone could reset the facts. Then she grabbed her bag, flung the door open, and snarled, "You're not getting away with this." The door slammed so hard a picture frame fell off the wall. Jasper gave me a look that said, "Can we be done now?" I called the police. Filed a report. Upgraded the alarm system the same day. Deadbolts. Reinforced glass. A new code for the garage. I even changed the mailbox lock, because at this point, why not? That night I got an email. Subject, workplace complaint. From her company's HR department. Apparently, she'd filed a complaint claiming I was harassing her because I had her serve divorce papers at her office. I scheduled a call with them. When the line connected, I stayed calm. "I'd be happy to clarify. Your employee was having an 8-month affair with a coworker. I have a recording of him admitting it. She attempted to frame me for cheating at a public event. I served her at work because she refused to meet anywhere else." Silence. Then, "We weren't aware of the workplace relationship. That would be a serious violation of our conduct policy." I sent them the recording. The photos. The dates. Time-stamped, watermarked, and ironclad. 2 days later, she and Colin were both fired. Strict no-dating policy in their department. Apparently, HR didn't appreciate being blindsided by 2 employees dragging a messy personal scandal into the conference room. She texted me from another number. "You got me fired. I hope you're proud." I replied with 2 words, actions. Consequences. Blocked the number. Last I heard, she's crashing with her sister in a 1-bedroom apartment with a broken AC and 2 cats that hate her. Meanwhile, I've been sleeping just fine. The cherry on top? The car. See, when we first moved in together, her credit was shot. Like. Rejected for a store card. Shot. She needed a car for work, so I, being the good, loyal, stupid boyfriend, bought her one. Title in my name. I made the payments. She drove it. For 5 years. I never thought twice about it, until now. After she got fired and lost her company car allowance, she texted, "Hey, can I borrow some money to cover this month's insurance? Just until I figure things out." She wasn't even pretending anymore. So I called my lawyer. "Remind me," I said. "That car technically mine, right? Is it titled in your name?" "Yep." "Then it's yours. She's just been using it. You're free to reclaim, sell, whatever." So I did. Drove to her sister's place when I knew she was at her new temp job. A gig walking dogs for an app that takes 40% commission, and took the keys out of the fake rock she still used to hide them. I drove that car straight to a dealership. It wasn't worth much, 5 years of wear, a mystery stain in the backseat, but I still got $8,400 cash. 15 minutes after the sale, my phone exploded. Her, "Where's my car?" Me, "My car. I sold it. Title's in my name." Her, "You can't do that." Me, just did. It's legal. Ask your lawyer. Then came the voicemail. 2 minutes of pure banshee rage. Screaming. Accusations. Empty legal threats. You're ruining my life. And you trapped me in this relationship, now you're punishing me for leaving. I send it to my lawyer. Subject line, additional evidence of harassment. His response, thanks. Gold mine. Her lawyer sent a formal letter a few days later. Full of smoke and fury. Financial abuse, retaliatory behavior, intentional hardship. My lawyer replied with the vehicle title, payment records in my name, and a copy of the dealership invoice. Response? Silence. Next I knew, her sister texted me. Hey, she's been borrowing my car and keeps leaving it with no gas. You're not the only one she's freeloading off. Ouch. Not long after, I heard through the grapevine that Colin had ghosted her completely. Went full no contact. Turns out, losing your job because you slept with your coworker and got caught on a Bluetooth speaker at a party full of 40 people, kind of kills the romance. Her friend Kayla messaged me, too. Just so you know, she's been telling people you were emotionally abusive and that the party recording was manipulated. I replied, I've got the original. If she keeps spreading lies, tell her I'd love to play it again. Loud. Kayla just responded. Damn. Honestly, respect. I wasn't vindictive. I didn't post about it online. Didn't share the story outside my circle. But I did tell my side when asked. And most people? They believed it. Because they'd seen it. They were there. That night wasn't a performance. It was a reveal. And she scripted it for me. All I did was change the ending. The legal process moved fast after that, faster than I expected. Partly because I had all my ducks in a row. Mostly because she was burning through lawyers like candles in a blackout. Her first attorney quit. Apparently, she screamed at him in his office when he told her she had no claim to the house. Her second attorney lasted 2 weeks before filing a motion to withdraw, citing irreconcilable client expectations. Third one stuck barely. But by then, it was clear even he knew the game was lost. He stopped making demands and started gently suggesting she take the settlement I'd offered, modest, clean, legally airtight. But she kept stalling, probably hoping for a Hail Mary. Meanwhile, my lawyer and I locked down every detail. House, confirmed separate property. Deeded to me before the relationship. Non-negotiable. Retirement, she wanted half of everything. We ended up agreeing to a 65/35 split of the marital portion. Why? Because of the adultery. Her infidelity gave me leverage and I used it. Spousal support, she initially demanded $3,000 a month. To maintain her lifestyle. My lawyer countered with $500 a month for 18 months. We settled around $850 a month for 2 years. It stung, but I could live with it. Temporary pain. Long-term freedom. She tried one last tactic, claiming I coerced her into quitting her job. Which would have been funny if it weren't so pathetic. She got fired for violating company policy and sleeping with a coworker. We had emails, HR records, timestamps. The judge didn't even entertain it. She also tried to argue that selling the car was financial retaliation. My lawyer literally handed the judge the title and the payment history. The judge looked over his glasses and said, it was in his name. He paid for it. He sold it. Next issue. That was the moment I finally saw it, the shift. The look on her face when she realized that all the manipulation, all the performance, all the chess moves, none of it was working. Because I had stopped playing her game and built my own. Outside the courtroom, after one of the early hearings, she tried the regret angle. Ben, I'm sorry, she said quietly, tugging on her sleeve like it was a safety blanket. We had 7 good years. Doesn't that mean anything? I paused. Looked her dead in the eyes. You had 8 months of lies. That's what means something now. She flinched. Can't we at least be friends? No. You're really going to throw everything away? You already did. I'm just taking out the trash. Her mom was there that day. Still glaring at me like I'd stolen her daughter's future. I didn't care. Because my own future? It was looking pretty damn bright. I'd just gotten a promotion at work. Extra $15,000 a year. Landed 2 new clients. Started putting that $850 she used to get in car payments straight into my investment account. Bought myself a new gaming setup. Finally got a real leather office chair instead of the duct-taped IKEA nightmare I'd been suffering through. Painted the bedroom. Replaced the mattress. Bought blackout curtains. It was my house now. Really mine. Jasper stopped sleeping by the door. He knew she wasn't coming back. A few weeks before the divorce finalized, I realized something strange. I was happy. Like actual peace in the chest, full breath, not waiting for the other shoe kind of happy. No more walking on eggshells. No more fake smiles at dinners where I was the punchline to her work stories. No more apologies for existing slightly out of tune with her curated reality. I was just living. I joined a basketball rec league again. Something she used to call a midlife crisis hobby. Turns out it's not a crisis to enjoy the stuff that makes you feel alive. I was rusty as hell, missed 10 free throws in a row the first week, but I laughed more in 2 hours than I had in the last year with her. My relationship with Daniel got tighter too. We grabbed dinner weekly. Sometimes we talked about the whole mess. Sometimes we didn't. It was enough to just be brothers again, instead of him having to be my crisis hotline. Even my parents, who used to love her, started to see clearly. My mom called one night, said softly, "You know, I didn't want to believe it at first. But then I remembered how you stopped telling jokes. How you flinched when she touched your shoulder. I hadn't realized it was that obvious. I got back into small things I used to love. Cooking. Playing piano. Coding side projects just for fun instead of profit. I bought a small bonsai tree. Named it Morty. No idea why, it just looked like a Morty. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like a supporting character in my own life. She, meanwhile, was unraveling in real time. I didn't have to go looking for updates. They came to me. Her sister posted vague Instagram stories about drama queens in the guest room. Her old coworker messaged me Colin had ghosted her completely. Deleted his socials. Transferred departments. She was telling people she'd been blindsided by betrayal, kicked out with nowhere to go, and used for 7 years by a narcissist. Cool story. Too bad 40 people at the party heard the truth in 1080p surround sound. She even tried to reframe the recording as revenge porn. Her lawyer actually had to bring it up in court. "Your Honor, my client believes the recording was shared with malicious intent." The judge blinked. "It was played once in response to a public false accusation at a private event. It was a confession of an affair. It's not salacious. It's factual." Denied. Outside the courthouse, she hissed at me. "You ruined my life." And for once, I didn't get angry. I didn't feel satisfaction either. I just said, "No. You ruined mine first. I just stopped helping you do it." She opened her mouth to reply, but nothing came out. That was the last time I saw her in person. The rest was handled by lawyers, signatures, and paperwork. And then one morning it was over. Divorce finalized. Stamped. Filed. I kept the house. I kept the dog. I kept my self-respect. She got 24 months of support, some furniture, and a mountain of excuses she could keep rearranging until they looked like truth. That night, I took Jasper for a walk. Cool breeze, soft street lights, no ghosts chasing me down the sidewalk. Back home, I sat on my porch with a beer, legs up, arms folded behind my head. And for the first time in a long, long time, I was completely alone. And absolutely okay with that. A few weeks after the ink dried on the divorce, I got a text from an unknown number. Short. Simple. "Hope you're happy. You destroyed my life." I stared at it for a second. Then typed my reply. "I didn't destroy anything. I just refused to be your victim. Big difference." Blocked the number. Done. And when I say done, I mean done. Not the messy breakup kind of done where you still lurk their socials at midnight, or second guess if you were too harsh. I mean locked door, changed number, emotionally housecleaned done. I boxed up everything that reminded me of her. Her mug. Her awful motivational quote pillow. The cheap wine glasses she insisted were a vibe. Took it all to the donation bin and didn't look back. Repainted the bedroom deep navy, with clean white trim. Got new sheets. A mattress that didn't cave in the middle like a relationship with secrets. Set up a full gaming rig in the office. Built a coffee station in the kitchen. Got my music back on the speakers, no more moody indie pop breakup playlists she never admitted were about me. The house started to feel different. Like it could breathe again. Like it had shed the layers of someone pretending to be a partner while shopping for upgrades. And me? I started dating again. Nothing serious. Just coffee, conversation, the occasional awkward first kiss. But even that was refreshing. No one looking at me like I was a project. No one rolling their eyes when I mentioned side coding gigs or late night debugging. Just honest curiosity. One date in particular stood out. Her name was Lila. Graphic designer. Funny, sharp, cursed like a sailor in traffic. She didn't know the whole story, but she'd heard whispers. At the end of our second date, she said, "You're the guy who blew up his anniversary party, right?" I froze. She laughed. "Relax. I think it's badass." I raised an eyebrow. "You do?" "Hell yeah. Most people get cheated on and spend 6 months in a Reddit comment section. You flipped the board mid-chess game. That's iconic." We didn't kiss that night. But she texted me when she got home. "You're the first guy I've been on a date with who actually has boundaries." Refreshing. Meanwhile, mutual friends started trickling back in. At first, tentative. Then more openly. One couple who'd actually left the party early because they felt awkward invited me over for dinner. They brought it up over dessert. "We were wrong," the husband said. We believed her for a minute. But seeing everything come out like that, "You handled it with more dignity than most people I know." His wife added, "We still can't believe she tried to flip it on you. But you never made it ugly." I just nodded. Ugly was her territory. I had to stay clean. Then one day, I opened the bottom drawer of my desk, found the old party invitation. Still had the embossed gold lettering, the cheesy, "Lucky 7 years" header. I almost threw it away. Almost. But then I pinned it to my corkboard. Right next to a small printout of my house deed and a snapshot of Jasper wearing my gaming headset. A trophy shelf of sorts. Not of revenge. Of clarity. That party was supposed to be the end of my reputation. Instead, it was the beginning of my freedom. About a week after pinning that old party invite to my corkboard, I got a surprise call from Colin. Yeah. That Colin. Didn't recognize the number at first. When I picked up and heard his voice nervous, dry, like he was about to confess to robbing a bank, I nearly laughed. "Hey, Benjamin. I know this is unexpected." "Yup," I said, staring at Jasper, who was chewing on a sock like it was a fine steak. "What do you want?" He sighed. Look, I'm not trying to reopen old wounds. But can I ask you something? Off the record." The audacity. But I was too curious to hang up. "Go ahead," I said. "Was she like this with you? The whole gaslighting, rewriting history, playing everyone thing?" I let out a breath. "So she found you again, huh?" "She's been texting me," he admitted. "Said she's sorry, that it was just a bad moment, that she wants to meet up to talk. But the way she's twisting things, it's like, she thinks we broke up because you manipulated me." I snorted. "Colin, my guy. She didn't lie to you. She lied through you. There's a difference." He was quiet. I could hear traffic in the background, like he'd pulled over just to make this call. Or maybe to cry. "Don't go back," I said finally. "Not because of me. Not because of guilt. But because you already saw what happens when you let her steer." More silence. Then, "Thanks, man. I deserved a lot of what I got. But I didn't realize how deep it went. You handled it better than most would've." "Thanks," I said and hung up. That night, I told Lila about the call. She raised an eyebrow. "Are you secretly collecting your enemies like Pokemon?" "No," I said, sipping my tea. "They just keep coming back to apologize after she eats them alive." "You're like a divorce vigilante." She smirked. "You've got main character energy, but with spreadsheets." Later, she was curled up in my hoodie watching me reinstall cabinet handles I'd been meaning to replace for months. "Why'd you wait so long to do this?" she asked. I tightened the last screw. Because before every time I fixed something, she'd find a new thing to break. She didn't say anything for a while. Then she looked around my kitchen, at the walls I painted, the framed photo of me and Jasper hiking, the bonsai on the windowsill. "It feels like this house knows it belongs to someone who gives a damn now." I just smiled. Because honestly, it finally did. 3 weeks after Colin called me, guess who showed up in my inbox? Her mom. New email address, same energy. Subject line: "Can we talk?" The body was a masterpiece of polite threats, guilt-dipped compliments, and fake olive branches. Started with, "I know things got messy. moved into. You were always like a son to me. And somehow landed on. Perhaps there's a way to resolve this without more embarrassment for either of you. It was like reading a letter from a cult leader who missed brunch. I didn't respond. Instead, I forwarded it to my lawyer with the note, still fishing. His reply: block. And file away. It's just rope if she ever tries to sue for emotional distress. We were nearly 4 months out from the party by now, and the smoke had cleared, but every once in a while, the ashes still glowed. Mutual friends would call and say she was still telling people I had doctored the audio. That I manipulated Colin into lying. That I was some emotionally cold tech guy who only looked good because I staged a breakup like a PR stunt. It was exhausting. But it was also kind of hilarious. Because while she was busy rewriting our relationship as a Netflix thriller, I was quietly living my best possible version of the sequel. I bought a punching bag. Mounted it in the garage. Labeled it conflict resolution. Got back into piano, really into it this time. Started playing after work with the windows open. One night, my neighbor from 2 doors down knocked and asked if I gave lessons. I said no, but she offered to trade baked goods for music once a week. Now every Wednesday I get lemon bars and we go through Elton John. Turns out, my life wasn't boring. It was just waiting for the wrong person to leave. And Lila? We were getting real. We weren't talking about future stuff yet, but we'd settled into a rhythm. Friday night takeout. Sunday hikes with Jasper. She kept a toothbrush in my bathroom. I kept almond milk in the fridge for her lattes. When she went out of town for work one weekend, she texted me the second her plane landed. Miss your face. And Jasper's, but mostly yours. That felt good. Not like love bomb fireworks. Like safety. Like being chosen, not tolerated. One night we sat on the deck and talked about the kind of people we used to be. She told me about an ex who made her feel small every time she succeeded. I told her about the way my ex used to mock my hobbies, called my piano background noise, and my gaming rig a man cave for boys who couldn't grow up. Lila just laughed. Sounds like she was allergic to joy. She treated sarcasm like a weapon, I said. And you? She asked. What did you treat like a weapon? I thought about it. Silence, I said. I got real good at being quiet. Even when I knew I was right. She nodded, slowly. That's not peace. That's surrender. Exactly. We sat there a while longer, not saying anything. But this time, the silence was full. Not empty. After she left that night, I cleaned out one last box of stuff from the basement. Inside, I found an old binder labeled Wedding Ideas. I stared at it for a minute. I don't even remember making that. Probably one of those hopeful moments, back before I realized I was the only one doing the hoping. I opened it. Color swatches. Venue brochures. A list of her friends' dietary restrictions. Not one thing in it reflected me. Not my taste, not my style. Just pages and pages of planning for a day that never would have celebrated us, only her. I walked it outside and tossed it in the trash bin. It landed with a thud that felt like closure. Inside, I cracked open a cold drink, sat on the floor with Jasper, and said out loud to no one in particular, Well, that was dumb. He licked my hand. We agreed. You'd think after all that drama, the story would quiet down. But no. Because one night I get a call from my buddy Nate. He's at a birthday party, and guess who walks in? Her. And according to Nate, she's acting like none of it ever happened. She hugged me like we were still friends, he told me. Then she asked if you were dating anyone, like casually. I nearly dropped my phone. Are you serious? Dead serious. She even said she hopes Benjamin isn't still bitter. Bitter dude. You. I laughed so hard I almost choked on my protein shake. Then I asked Nate to do me a favor. If she ever tries to bring me up again, just tell her I'm happily seeing someone who doesn't cheat, lie, or weaponize public parties. He agreed. Later that week, I updated my estate plan. I know, weird transition, but stick with me. I was doing a financial review and realized that if I ever died suddenly, everything would have defaulted to her name just months ago. That hit hard. I made sure all my assets, house, retirement, insurance, had new beneficiaries. Daniel for now. Jasper in the will, yes, dogs count. Eventually, who knows? When I told Lila, she said, You're planning for a future without her in it. That's healthy. I paused. You make it sound like grief. Because it is. she said. It's just grief for something you thought was real. She wasn't wrong. That weekend, I took a solo hike, first one in years. No dog. No girlfriend. Just me, a flask of strong coffee, and a trail that hadn't changed since I last walked it with someone who didn't make it to the end. I reached the overlook, sat down, and looked out over the valley. And I felt it. The full arc of it all. From blind trust to gut punches to courtroom paperwork to walking out of my own party without flinching. From being a man quietly dismissed in his own home, to a man who owned that home in every sense now. Not just legally. Emotionally. Spiritually. Completely. And suddenly, I wasn't just healing. I was becoming. Funny how healing doesn't look like fireworks or epiphanies. It looks like small stuff. It's realizing your house stays cleaner when you're not cleaning up after someone who thought a floor was a suggestion. It's setting a boundary and not explaining it like a TED Talk. It's spending your own money without flinching or worse, hiding it. One night, Lila asked me if I ever felt scared that she'd do what my ex did. And the honest answer? No. Not really. Because you're not hiding who you are. She smiled. That's because I've been the villain in someone else's story. It taught me not to audition for anyone's approval ever again. That landed. We weren't two people trying to impress each other. We were two people who'd already been through their own kind of war and weren't afraid to talk about the damage. She didn't flinch when I told her about the night I almost said yes to a relationship counseling session, just to delay the inevitable. I didn't flinch when she told me she once dated a guy who demanded she stop posting her art because it wasn't professional enough. We were bruised. Not broken. And more importantly, we were honest. Meanwhile, my ex? Last I heard, she tried to file some emotional trauma complaint with a new lawyer. Claimed the party recording ruined her mental health and employment future. My lawyer sent back the footage, the original confession, the public setting, and the 40 witnesses. Also included? Her Instagram story from that very night with the caption, "About to be free. Case closed." Again. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I stood on the deck of my house barefoot, coffee in hand, Jasper curled at my side, and finally let myself believe it was over. Not just legally. Not just logistically. But spiritually. I wasn't waiting for the next ambush. I wasn't checking my phone expecting another bombshell. I was just breathing. Steady. Quiet. Whole. The house was clean. Not tidy clean. The kind of clean that comes from washing out ghosts. I'd gutted every trace of her. New furniture. New plates. New paint. Even new silverware, because I couldn't stand eating with the same fork she used while she lied to my face. Some people would call that petty. I call it freedom by 1,000 cuts. Lila was inside, barefoot, sketching something in her journal. We weren't planning a future, not yet, but we were building something steady, honest. She never asked me to be less. Never flinched when I shared the hard truths. Never rolled her eyes when I opened up. It was wild how revolutionary that felt after years of being emotionally breadcrumbed. I checked the time. 6:03 a.m. The same hour, nearly a year ago, when I first saw the message on her iPad, "Miss you already." Tonight was amazing. That day broke me. And that's the thing about breakage, it's honest. It doesn't lie about where you're weak. It doesn't wait for permission. It just shows up, wrecks everything, and leaves you sitting in the rubble wondering what parts of you were real. But rebuilding? That part's yours. I didn't just survive. I chose to survive. To document. To defend. To walk away with my head up, my story intact, and my middle finger raised not in anger but in clarity. Some people still believe her version. That's fine. I've got 40 witnesses, a signed decree, a recorded confession, and most importantly a dog who no longer watches the door. And me? I'm not the man she tried to break. I'm the man who showed up to his own execution. With a speaker. I went inside, kissed Lila on the forehead, and poured her a cup of coffee. She looked up, smiled, and said, "By the way, there's a letter for you on the porch." I opened the door, expecting junk mail. It was from Colin. Inside was a check for $4,200 and a short note. "Half the car. Half the mess. Thank you for ending what I was too stupid to walk away from." I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my coffee. Closure. Sometimes it shows up in envelopes.